Those adverts you just heard were made by shaving half the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, collecting the hair, bits of skin, loose nails, teeth, etc., and boiling them all in a massive, highly decorated vat of loose dripping and the excretions of dogs. The substance that remained was then siphoned off by Dutch extruder apprentice Lahim Nakatashi and shipped to Norway under nightfall, disguised as novelty rubber hats to be worn at the wedding of Prince Gustav Felnd, who once owned some of the world's most irritating trousers. Also, in 1902, Trumbold Welly Welly invented the elastic-operated sandwich crusher, so named because it absolutely obliterated sandwiches. It could also do cakes, some small buns, average-sized frogs, the fingers of children, and a Mr. Perringham of Dorset who was born with almost entirely no face. Signores Welly Welly intended on making a steam-powered sandwich maker, but when that proved too difficult because it required some knowledge of engineering, mechanisms, and also the bread kept falling jam-side down onto his Aunt Tabitha Welly Welly, he instead decided to just destroy things. He was awarded the Nobel Heft Prize in 1908 and died shortly afterwards in a bag of old thumbs after a disastrous incident with a pigeon. Other things that should have quite reasonably died a similar and far less noble death are thin and or skinny pants or trousers, people who use the word bruschetta openly in supermarkets as if it's perfectly normal and not an utterly hideous and vile thing to do, and cyclists who don't obey traffic laws, which is, let's be honest, all of them. Things, however, that I find quite rewarding, produce a warmth in certain regions of my posterior, and should definitely be awarded either a prize of some sort or vast sums of dirty, dirty cash, are the After-Movie Diner and... No! Stop playing the theme music! I haven't finished the list yet! Oh, fuck it.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
There is nothing to worry about. You're gonna be just fine.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Have you checked the children?
Stay on the road. Keep clear to the moors.
Beware the moonlights.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
They're all gonna laugh at you! They're all gonna laugh at you! They're all gonna laugh at you!
Who's laughing now?
Who's laughing
Now it's the After-Movie Diner and a month of Horrotober, and they're watching horror films. That's why they call it Horrotober. Yeah, it's the After-Movie Diner in the month of October. They're watching horror films, that's why they call it Horrotober. 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 Okay, just a quick message before we get stuck in. I got an email this week from Dream Reaper. He writes, my name is Troy Durkee, or Dirk, or I don't know how you pronounce your last name, Troy, very sorry about that, but my name is Troy Durkee, and I make music as Dream Reaper. It's electro influenced by 80s horror movie synth scores. Think the Stranger Things soundtrack on steroids. I don't know how often you feature music on the After Movie Diner, but I just unleashed a remix of the Goosebumps TV show theme song, yes, that one from the 90s, which I think could possibly make for a cool Halloween feature on your show. I've included a link with way more details, including a humorous story about buying an enormous collection of Goosebumps trading cards. I promise it's worth a read. Do you think this is something that might interest your listeners? Well, Troy, what you have to understand about me is I couldn't give a tinker's cuss what interests my listeners. However, we do love music here on the After Movie Diner, and we do love Halloween, and it's all good. So, for anyone who's interested in Dream Reaper, and indeed how to pronounce Troy's last name, hopefully Troy will write us back and tell us. But anyone who's interested in the music, listen at the end of the show where you will hear that humorous story, and we'll be the judge of that, Troy, but that humorous story about buying collections of Goosebump trading cards, And you will also hear the song that he's talking about, Goosebumps or something. Anyway, now let's go over to an extraordinarily noisy diner. And I'm so sorry about this, listeners, but it was a very noisy diner this week. I have tried my best to bring the sound in the background down and our voices up. So please do bear with us. But our look at the 40th anniversary release of Suspiria by Dario Argento. Hello and welcome to the After Movie Diner, quite possibly the latest and or earliest After Movie Diner, depending on which way you look at it. Which way do you look at it, Mr. Jim Wallace?
Did we ever do one? I feel like we might have done one pretty late in your place in the Bronx once.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Did I crash there one night?
No, we did, you may have crashed there one night when we did Fatal Games.
Yeah.
Fatal Games, we went to like the gold. Maybe, no, this has got to be later than that though.
Yeah,
I feel like that was more like midnight.
2 a.m. 2 a.m. almost exactly.
2 a.m. at the Remedy Diner, which is on Houston.
Yes.
Houston. Houston in Texas, Houston in New York.
Right.
And the Remedy Diner is the remedy for what ails us right now.
Which is hunger?
I'm not really that hungry.
I'm quite hungry.
I have had 2 huge meals today.
Oh yeah?
And I ate popcorn.
Fair enough. Right. Well, I didn't have dinner.
Right.
I thought we were eating here.
Order whatever you want. I don't care.
All right, I will.
I might have
I'll have octopus cocktail.
Yeah, fuck off with that. Not buying you octopus.
Why not?
I'm not buying you octopus. So, the film that the reason why we're here in the Remedy Diner at 2 a.m. On a Sunday morning is that we just went to see a midnight screening of Dario Argento's Suspiria, which is all about some American bird who goes to a dance school in Germany and finds it overrun by witches. And that's it, really. There's not much more to the plot than that. But we saw the 40th anniversary Italian director's cut special extended new Goblin soundtrack edition. I don't quite know.
I think we saw like a clean. I think it was an original 35mm print that had been rediscovered and they cleaned up. Yes.
No.
Sorry, did I just interrupt?
No. I'm not ready to order yet. No.
Sure. Wait, you're not ready? I thought you weren't having anything.
No, I'm going to look.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
You can order if you want to order now. But
No, that's okay. We can wait.
All right, one more minute. No, I'll be as quick as possible. No worries.
I thought it was you were hungry.
I might have something.
All right. I just thought we got done going on about.
So anyway, Dario Argento's Suspiria, starring Jessica-Harper, and a cameo by Udo Kier.
Yeah, I did wonder if that was Kier. I thought Kier was like born age 50 and then carried on being 50 until presumably he kicked the bucket. It was really disconcerting seeing a young Udo Kier when I've only ever seen him be like, you know, pervy old Udo Kier.
Alright, so, Suspiria. The whatever edition. The new edition. The remastered edition. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Sure. Can I get waffles and sausages and a cup of tea?
Sorry, waffle and?
Sausages. Thank you. And a cup of tea. English breakfast.
We got the Victorian Earl Grey. Is it going to work out?
Yeah, that's fine. And milk. Thank you.
Yeah, can I get the disco fries?
Sure, buddy, nice choice.
And can I get a fresh glass of water, please, with a straw as well, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
So Suspiria, Dario Argento. It's one of those. It's one of those ones, isn't it? It's one of those ones where, like, you know, it's up there with when people mention Argento, they go, "Oh, Suspiria." Well, no. I think there are 2 types of Argento fans, and I'm going to go on the record.
Okay.
2 types of Argento fans. I think there are the ones who, when you ask them about Argento, they go Suspiria,
right.
And then there are the other ones that, when you ask them about Argento, they say Deep Red. Or, like that guy outside the theatre was saying, Profondo Rosso, for no reason whatsoever. Normal American guy talking away to a bunch of other normal American people, but when he decided to mention Deep Red, he did have to pronounce it Profondo Rosso and then go back to speaking normally, which was enough for me to grab his leather waistcoat, punch him violently in the face, and hopefully fall in front of a cab and die horribly.
Well, you would fall in front of the cab?
No,
or
he would. He would.
I thought it might be like your last act. before leaving.
Oh, because I was so enraged by his profondo
You just
rosso.
gave up on existence.
I just gave up on existence and dove headfirst into
So which one are you then?
street traffic. I am square. Well, no, not squarely, because there is a lot about Suspiria that I like. But I'm deep red.
You're deep red.
I'm deep red because I like David Hemmings, and I like him going through Italy trying to find a killer. I think that I also really like opera, and I liked Sleepless, which is the much later one with Max von Sydow, and I like what's the other giallo one from the 70s that I like? But I tend to like his detective crime ones more. But I like, there are loads of elements about Suspiria that I like, but it's one that I revisit very, very rarely. And yet it's probably the one that worldwide he's most famous for.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've only seen 2 Argento films, I think, which is Opera, which we watched together and I really liked, and we went and saw Dracula, which, while being like unbelievably flawed, I still quite enjoyed a lot about it.
Right.
So I thought, I must be an Argento fan then, because I like Opera, which is not exactly, his greatest work as far as I'm aware.
Tenebrae and Phenomena as well, I like.
Sure. Oh, I might have seen Phenomena. Did we see Phenomena?
With Donald Pleasance and the monkey.
No. I saw one that was set in New York, and it's like a weird haunted apartment building in New York.
Well, it should also be worth saying that of all the sort of Lucio Fulci, Umberto Lenzi, of all of those kind of like
Giallo lads?
Not Giallo strictly, but like Mario Bava's another one. Those kind of like Italian schlockmeisters. Argento is sort of. I mean, Bava is obviously on Mount Olympus or whatever, which I know is Greek, but whatever. He's like up there, but like I feel like Argento is sort of revered, like he is Italy's sort of master of horror. There are certainly more the schlockier guys, your Lenzis and your Fulcis. There's actually stuff about their films that I maybe prefer more. I always feel like Argento is a bit of a feast. It's like a bit of a slog. It's a bit like a sort of 8-course taster meal that you have to kind of slog your way through. And by about the 3rd course, you're like, all right, I've had enough of this. But then there's 4 more courses of what were the fucking oysters and endives or some bullshit. I don't know.
Well, I know what you mean. I guess I know what you mean, like visually, I suppose. I mean, I liked how bonkers Opera was, and how bonkers Dracula was, and whatever the one I was that I saw in the apartment building.
So this is my thing. When with something like Opera or with Profondo Rosso or whatever it is, with those movies, there's like a driving plot, right? There is the someone is bumping off someone or other and leaving little clues around the place, and then you've normally got your protagonist who's trying to figure it out. In some cases it's a detective, in other cases it's David Hemmings, who's a pianist, and a penis. I don't know why I said that. Anyway,
it was very much.
It's Hemmings in a beige suit in Italy, being Hemmings on the thing, and so like because there's a driving narrative to the whole thing. Argento's got something to hang his madness on. You know what I mean? Like he can throw all his pink and orange and green and red and blue lights all over the place. Because as long as there's a guy in like a long black coat with black gloves knifing singers or knifing dancers or knifing whatever, he knows what to do with that. The thing I find with some of his other stuff, like, and Suspiria is an example of this, is because there's not really a driving narrative other than dance school in which weird shit is happening, and then Udo Kier shows up and goes, oh, by the way, this is the plot and this is how you get rid of them. All right, thanks, Udo. And then she fucks off to the school and figures it out, and, Bob's your uncle, end of movie. But, like, in between all the mad shit happening, which is Argento's forte, there isn't really much to like. You know, there's vast ways of Suspiria where, like, come on.
Well, so can I express my disappointment?
Go on then.
Well, like as I say, I saw Dracula, thinking, oh, I must have grown into being an Argento fan.
Yeah.
And then I read the thing about that they found this lost 35mm print of Suspiria, and they've done up the colours, and it looks amazing, and it's being released into cinemas on a limited run. I'm like, we have to go and see that. So I scroll down and I find it showing at the Landmark at midnight. Brilliant. I buy us tickets. I'm well looking forward to going to see Suspiria. And I really liked it. I was really enjoying it right up until the first murder, I think. Where I was a bit like...
What, the very first murder?
Yeah,
the first
murder.
5 minutes?
Yeah. But I mean, I was really enjoying, like, her landing in the alien city and it being all rainy and weird and disorientating, and that amazing Goblin music. And then her being turned away from the school and watching the woman run through the woods. And all the colours of that weird building that the girl ran to with the crazy elevator and all the mad decorations, and it was all there. The whole movie was all there in that first 5 minutes. And then the incredibly creepy, like the music's going and there's that creepy black shirt up against the window, and they're like, there might be a face behind the shirt and maybe there isn't. And I go, fucking hell, it's actually like kind of freaking me out, the like crazy face. And then like a kind of a hairy hand comes through the window and like pushes her face up against the glass in a pretty comic way. It wasn't scary, it was kind of funny. And then she's like stabbed a few times. The bit with the heart was quite cool, but it was a bit like...
Well, it's kind of actually, like, in terms of slasher films or giallo films, what Argento is known for, or what giallo films are in general known for, is that the kills are sort of excessively gruesome.
Well, I don't mind excessively gruesome,
and what
but
he
I
does...
I just thought it was a bit dull. She's just stabbed a few times.
No. I have to fundamentally disagree with you on that.
Why?
Because that first kill in the movie is like my favourite bit. Like if that was the film, like if more of that happened in the film, I would be well more into it.
I liked the gruesome. I liked the bird with the glass stuck in her face. I liked bird with the pins in her eyes and all the rest of it.
Oh no, right. And that bit at the end is also cool.
Yeah.
There's vast ways in the middle where really all it is.
And I don't mind her head going through the thing and like the yellow of the paint or whatever bleeding on her. But that was all fine. Sorry, that was all fine. It was just like she was just stabbed a few times. And the heart bit was very cool. I like that.
Yeah, because essentially she stabbed so much that her heart is exposed, and then you see the knife like going into her
heart.
Which
was cool. But then she just like...
then he wraps a rope round her, pushes her through a paint.
Yeah, but then she
and then it like strangles her, and you see like the rope go up round her neck and the blood. And then you realise that all the glass and the iron and everything else has fallen down and impaled the other chick to the...
Which was cool, don't get me wrong. I just mean, I don't know, I was expecting her to end up somewhere where she wasn't just like hung by the neck. I don't know, just a bit...
No,
it lacked imagination.
You absolutely cannot say that the opening kill in Suspiria lacks imagination.
I just thought...
It's dramatic, it's over the top, it's gory as hell, it's violent as hell, it's fun, weird. I mean, okay, at this point, it's not going to scare you. We've both seen way too many horror movies to be scared.
No, I'm not saying scared. No,
but
I'm saying that
there aren't many kills in many slashers or giallos that are like that. It's an impressive feat. Like the entire like stained glass ceiling caves in, and she comes crashing through it. And in one shot, you see her body like fall in front of the camera, and the rope like essentially hack her, like. Right, it's sudden and dramatic, and
I know, but I get what you're saying, but this is where I'm coming from, right? She's already been stabbed a load of times, and he's put a knife into her heart, so she is dead.
Right.
She's a dead person.
Right.
So everything after that point, after the knife goes into the heart, is just theatre.
Right, no, but that's the whole point of it. Right.
I know, right?
Right.
So I'm saying, why hanging her by the neck? Right, you've got a rope. I'm saying there's a point in the movie, right, where there's a dead body,
right,
and there's a. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Can I make you guys anything else?
Nope,
that's it. Thanks so much.
Cheers. There's a point in the movie you've got a dead bird, right? You've got a rope, and you've got a stained glass window. And I'm just saying that a bird hanging by the neck, having been pushed through the stained glass window, is the most basic realisation of those three elements. I was expecting her that the rope was going to be tied, because it was like tied around in a kind of a weird way. That it was going to be tied in a way that, I don't know, it like, you know, the heart fell out of her body onto the floor, or, you know, it was such a violent thing, or that the rope was tied around her heart and she like fell to the floor. I don't know, but like something that wasn't just like. I'm not saying it was bad or anything. I'm just saying I was a bit like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I think that's with hindsight. I think if you had seen this, you know, either when you were younger and or you were alive in the 70s and watched this.
Yeah,
like
fair enough. Yeah, I could. Yeah, that's fair. I can see that.
Like, there's a reason why something that is that theatrical, dramatic, and grand guignol would make audiences of the time sit up and go, whoa, this Argento fella, he's a guy to look at.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, listen, I would say this about just generally the whole movie, that I loved, for the most part, looking at it. It looked amazing. I loved the music. There was genuine, like, suspense in it, really. But I felt like, my criticism of the movie would be, I felt like, you're right, there wasn't enough enough killing, enough, you know, imaginative death scenes when he clearly showed himself quite happy to do whatever. Plus, like, it's a you know, if the explanation is it's witches and they can apparently do whatever the fuck they want, but it seems like, you know, she goes through the fucking secret door and she goes down the secret corridor and she like, and there's like a door and a bit of a crack and there's people in there and you go, what's going on in this school? It's all been about what happens in this room. That's where everybody's being killed, and it's just three of them, you know, standing around going, hello, on this week's agenda,
kill the American
for no reason. I was like, she's just sitting in a chair. She could have done that in the other room. Why do they need a secret room for sitting?
They need a secret room.
Like, I was expecting them to open the door and I don't know, like, for them to be having, you know, sexual congress with the hounds of hell, or like Satan's making omelets, or I don't know, fucking something, right?
That sounds like
not
a
just
Tom
like
Waits
an old
song.
woman in a chair.
That sounds like a Tom Waits song. Satan's making omelets.
She snuck in and she saw me sitting in a chair. We must fucking kill her and risk our, you know, crazy. She didn't even see like the, you know, hideous old woman witch. Like, she was in another room. It was just like, why? I don't even mind that he couldn't give a shit about plot, and his dialogue is painful, and he, like, characters often discuss, or rather state explicitly, how the other character is feeling. You don't believe me? You are in disbelief, or whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't mind all that. I don't mind it being, but that was all there in Opera and Dracula too. I don't mind that it's like bonkers and painful dialogue and that characters are just like ciphers. If it looks great, and there's lots of, you know, imaginative, like, horror and scariness, but it was too much. Like, the maggots in the ceiling was super cool.
Right.
But then they go up and it's like a crate.
Have you seen this before, by the way? You've never seen it?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, wow, okay, fine. I hadn't realised that.
So, the maggots in the ceiling was cool, and, but it's like, I don't know, there should have been something more imaginative than just like a box of old food. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be like, I don't know, the sawn off head of a minotaur or whatever, but it could just be something a bit more than a box of old food. I don't know, it seemed like it wasn't enough of a crescendo either. Like, I didn't really feel like it built to anything. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, look, the thing about it is that
I liked it. I was just a bit disappointed.
I would imagine that in 1977 when it came out, and I don't know, but I would imagine there haven't been many films like this prior to this. Certainly done in this way. I mean, yes, there's been ghost stories, there's been witches stories, there's been like slashes and stuff, but like not done in this, you know, very, like, Argento is very, very, very obviously theatrical.
Yeah.
With the lighting and with the...
Which is I guess what worked well with opera.
With the scene, yeah, right. With the scenery and with the, you know, color schemes and all the rest of it. Like, it is a dramatic and, in places, completely amazing looking film.
Yeah.
And look, I can't claim to have seen a lot of, like, European films outside of the sort of the giallo or zombie genre. So it's difficult to know, like, where you know, who influences him and where that comes from and da-da-da-da-da. You know, obviously I know the touchstones of things like Grand Guignol. I know that certainly people like Kubrick were doing very kind of similar things with design and things like that, and shooting stuff and scenery, and obviously there's a lot of like art and theatre and sort of Italian and Renaissance sort of influences. I get all that. I just mean, was there another filmmaker that Argento watched and was inspired by, you know what I mean? And I can't answer that. I don't know. Outside of like Bava, but that just seems too obvious. I don't know.
I don't know where he fits. I mean, I'm assuming that he's the godfather of a kind of cinema that gets over the fact that people's voices are being dubbed. They don't have a lot of money for special effects, but they have amazing scenery and houses and interiors to work with.
Yeah.
And
what's interesting about him is he's sort of a polished Herschel Gordon Lewis. Like when Herschel Gordon Lewis first started doing his excessively gory films, where the main draw of the movie was, you know, we are going to do extreme gore in Technicolor, you know what I mean? And they were very, very low budget, grimy films, but they certainly have a style of their own and an artistry of their own and a design of their own. But it's very, he starts at the end of the 60s doing films that are very bold colors, lots of excessive gore. The gore is very, very red. It's normally about a killer, or, you know, it's not particularly complex, the storyline. And it's almost like Argento took that and, like, arted it up. You know what I mean? Like, sort of ladled on a lot of Euro nonsense on it. You know?
I think a lot of it is, like you said about, you know, Italian movies in the past, is that it's all about making money. And if you've got no cash, and you're not going to be relying on your acting talent, given that you're dubbing everything, then you've got to give people something that they're not getting from Hollywood movies, or movies being made in America. And it's sort of, it's not just the gore, like you're saying, it's a kind of everything's over the top. You know, not just the colour of the blood, but the colour of the walls and the colour of, like, everything is very...
Yeah, I mean, I feel that...
Which is fun to watch.
Of all the sort of Italian directors that I know about, in this horror genre, not obviously people like Fellini and stuff, but like in the horror genre, I feel like Argento is not one of those guys who is trying to do a unofficial sequel to a George Romero film just to kind of make it sell. I feel like he's doing his own thing. I feel like and while he's clearly influenced by Hitchcock and he's clearly influenced by maybe Herschel Gordon Lewis, and he's influenced by Bava and stuff, I think that he is doing his own thing.
Yeah.
I don't think he's trying... You know, I think, yes, he's put American characters in it, and he's put actors in it that are known in America to obviously help sell it, but internationally.
Right.
But I don't think the purpose of Suspiria is like, oh, well, look what George A. Romero did with Night of the Living Dead. Let's see if we can do something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Which is kind of like the thinking behind stuff like Fulci's Zombie and things.
I don't mean like naked cash grab. I just mean more you want to make something that sells.
Right.
And I think he's just using his, what he's got. And what he's got is imagination and flamboyancy.
Right. No, definitely very flamboyant and definitely does a lot with what he's got.
Yeah.
And Suspiria does look amazing, and this new print of it does look incredibly wonderful, bright, clear, cleaned up. Just beautiful. I mean, it was a real pleasure to see it on the big screen.
It did look amazing, and I could see that I saw some like stills from like the old DVD or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was quite murky, I think.
Yeah.
But it was so crisp and clear, everything, all the colours, and it made it a lot spookier and weirder and more otherworldly.
Right. And on top of that, they have taken the original Goblin soundtrack and turned it up to 11. I mean, if you think the music in this restaurant is unnecessarily loud, the Goblin soundtrack in the new Suspiria is
like... Oh, they turned it up?
Yeah, I mean, like every 30 seconds you've got like the... Like the whole way through the movie.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Suspiria theme that plays. Like, there's really two themes.
Yeah.
Three if you count the like the weird voicing one. But like in terms of this, you've got the electric guitar, like the that one,
right.
And then you've got the Suspiria like the high one,
the triangles, yeah.
And there's like loads of like mandolins and shit being thrown about, and a dulcimer and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it's awesome. But you do kind of say to yourself, without the sort of bright lights and without Goblin's insane score, that is like, I actually found the Goblin score at certain points got quite kind of intimidating in the sense that, but also kind of borderline grating, because certainly in this edit there was a lot of scenes where nothing's really happening and they're trying to accentuate that something might be happening by playing the same 8 bars of the Goblin soundtrack over and over and over again. And it does sort of accentuate the fact that nothing's like the girl is just standing there doing nothing.
Yeah, that's true. They did have
and it just kind of went on, and there were certain points where I was like, it's not the fault of the music, it's the fault of the editor. But like, there were moments where I was like, oh my god, this is really getting like just repetitive and irritating.
Do you think they like added in, I don't know, deleted scenes or something? Like why it was? You're saying there's bits in the movie that weren't in the version you saw before?
Yeah, it wasn't edited this way. The version I've seen before.
How was it edited differently? I don't mean like specifics, but just like...
The music's not as loud. I feel like the takes didn't go on as long. Like, I don't remember it being... And I've only seen it maybe once or twice before, but I don't remember it being that slow and that,
it was
like...
pretty draggy.
That, like, painful, like, come on. Because when something happened, it was super cool. Like, when something happened, like when there was a set piece, you're like, yay, set piece.
I think it's also fair to say, I'm not put off Argento films at all, but I was really looking forward to this, and I was a bit disappointed. That's kind of how I felt. And I felt like it was too slow, and all the things that I liked about it, which were the moodiness of it, and the threat and the menace, were just constantly being dissipated by how long everything was taking. It didn't feel as... the parts of it where it was when she was like hiding upstairs, the other bird, when she was hiding upstairs in the blue attic, like that was really scary. And her getting away, because initially the whole razor blade opening the door, like just put your hand over the thing, love, you're fine. But it's all right, I get it, and I like the scraping of the thing against the lock, and her climbing out the window was cool. But then she fell into. I don't know what she fell into. Wire?
Yeah, wire.
Okay, it was wire.
Like big bales and rounds of wire, which is one of those things where the more you struggle, the more tangled you'll become.
Which was quite cool. I mean, I think I would appreciate some mention of like, I don't know. P.S. Don't worry about, like, have you got any wire I can borrow? Don't worry about that. We've got loads of wire up on the roof.
No, but I don't think you're meant to know that they have lots of...
I know, but who the fuck keeps, like, a roof wire?
I don't know.
Are they, like, renting out wire storage?
How did that many maggots come from a bit of mouldy old turnip?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it were like a dead horse or something, we'd be like, why is there a dead horse in our attic? And they'd be like, well, it's fine, don't worry about it. You'd be like, something weird's going on here, there's a dead horse in the attic. That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, it was just food in a crate. It's like, sometimes it's too much of a Argento's thing of, like, oh, it's all perfectly explicable. It's like, you don't have to make it explicable. It could be, there's witches running the school for reasons, but like, what's the point in running a dance school if you're just going to murder everybody that figures out that you're witches? Like, I don't understand what's the plan here?
Right.
Because if she was like, oh, I feed on young flesh in order to live forever, but cool, that's the thing. Open up a dance school, like that makes sense. Like, probably, rule number 1 in the witching handbook is get yourself a dance school. But if it's like, I don't want to be bothered, and I definitely don't want people finding out like what it is that I am and what it is that I'm up to, then don't open a school.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, completely.
Find a house in the middle of nowhere. Get your ugly Romanian servant to make omelettes every now and then or whatever.
Devil's omelette,
and like Bob's your witchy uncle. But
right.
like if it's and if it's not, then I don't really get what's happening. Like there was too much. Like, it's fine to have her go, oh, something weird's happening. Oh, hello, I'm a previously unmentioned friend who's also a psychiatrist and an expert in witches, apparently. Which again is like, okay, fine. And
no, he had an old, white-haired, wiry German friend
who happened to be
a massive expert at witches. Which is my favourite scene in the film, because Udo Kier goes, oh, you want to talk to that guy over there.
Talk to the expert in witches.
The camera zooms in as he spins round, and he is like the epitome of like the crazy German psychiatrist.
Yeah, in fact, I would be surprised if he got cast as anything else,
right?
Except crazy German psychiatrist.
Yeah, maybe doddery old king.
Yes, possibly.
He could probably be cast as a doddery old king.
But that's what I mean about like what's the point in? I don't get like why she's there, right? I don't get what the old woman is about and what that. And I get that she's the one that founded the school, and she's like a horrible, like invisible witchy thing. I get that,
right?
And I like that the American chick is the one that like figured out how to kill her. That was kind of cool. But it was like I don't understand why they were doing what they were doing.
Okay, coming up now is a commercial break. I do apologize, but we do have to somehow inject cash into the website in some way. If you don't like listening to adverts, then why not scurry on over to patreon.com, that's patreon.com /After Movie Diner, and sponsor the show for less than the price of a Starbucks coffee a month. That would be absolutely phenomenal if you would do that. Go over to patreon.com /After Movie Diner. And in case you think, well, what extra do I get for that? Because, you know, a lot of people want extra things, even though we're doing 4 shows a month. They want extra things than just the shows. Well, don't worry. You will get exclusive early access to all of our celebrity interviews. You will also get exclusive, shorter and more exciting podcasts. And there are also an oodle ton of rewards. So if you become a Patreon subscriber to the Diner, then do not worry. You will be getting stuff that no one else, literally no one else, it will never be made public, gets. No one else gets. That's right. It will never be made public. So go do it. Patreon.com /After Movie Diner. However, now here are some commercials, and then we'll be back with more talk.
My other favourite bit with the German mad psychiatrist was when he like quoted Latin, and then
that was the worst Latin translation in history.
And then he translated.
No way, that's what that meant.
No, and then he translated it was, "There will always be witches the world over, and we all know that to be true." I'm like, first of all, no one ever said that in Latin. Like that's not a thing anyone ever said in Latin. No. People say, you know. Like, you know, fortune favours the bold or whatever. Like, that's something you translate into Latin. But no Latin person ever sat around and went, people all around the world, you know those witches? Well, we know all about them.
That's the thing. It fell apart in the second half as well. The first one you go, okay, maybe that's Latin. Because it's something like, there will always be witchcraft in the world. All right. And the second half was, and everybody knows that is a fact. Wait, what? No. Latin. I mean, I don't know much about Romans, right? Your ancient Romans, but I don't think they talked like that. I just don't think they did.
No.
So, yeah, but that was quite funny. I did quite like that. I mean, blatantly, he read that off the back of that's like a bread manufacturer's slogan, or whatever. It's like,
yeah,
we all love bread. Everyone loves bread. You can't beat a bit of bread in the bread town, or whatever. Whatever they're saying, you know.
And someone translated that into Latin.
Into Latin,
yeah.
Right.
It's not exactly VD.
No, it's not. But it'll be like the bread of the bread people.
Right.
You know, is the bread of us all, or something. Right. That's
yeah.
something.
That's more.
And I don't know when we'll just use that. It's like some because what I like about him is he's clearly incredibly pernickety about how what he's doing is going to look, but he's so incredibly slapdash about literally everything else. Like his characters, his dialogue.
I don't know because I'm not Italian. I wonder if in the original Italian it kind of has more heft to it. I can't imagine how, but I'm just saying.
What, the movie?
No, just like the dialogue and stuff. Like maybe the original
Italian. They're all doing that thing they used to do, where they're all speaking English, so that the lip syncing isn't terrible.
Right.
But they're all clearly speaking with thick Italian accents, and none of them have a bloody clue what it is they're saying. And then they overdub that with American accent voices.
I understand.
So I don't think there is like an Italian version of Suspiria out there. There'll be a dubbed Italian version of Suspiria over Italian people speaking English words.
Right.
It's fine. I don't mind. It's just funny that he only cares about one thing.
But what I'm saying is, he is writing a movie in a foreign language. Like, if you sat down to write a movie in Italian, it would hardly be the most thoughtful and in-depth and eloquent.
And that's fine too, but it's like...
I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Look, he deserves all the benefits that he can get. I'm prepared to give Dario whatever he wants.
Right. No, he's a hugely prolific, if with varying degrees of success. Because
I just expected it to be more exciting. and more fun. I expected it to be more fun.
Yeah.
It was quite fun, but I didn't think that. I just thought there would be more. Like, how many people actually died? 3? With the blind bloke with the dog, the bird at the beginning, and
bird in the attic.
and the bird in the attic. That was it, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's for a dance school,
right,
run by like paranoid murderous witches.
Yeah.
3 feels like a pretty low body count to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, there's like the mysterious little boy, right, and the crazy Romanian servant, and the good-looking bloke that she's with, who were like they're nothing. They mean they could. The Romanian bloke's a bit creepy then with the light. He's like, oh, he's got the lighter. You're acting like the lighter means something, Dario, but the lighter doesn't mean anything.
No, well, it means something to him. The hunchback, wobble-eyed.
What the hell's the kid? What's the kid? Like, the kid doesn't do anything. I was thinking about the kid to, I don't know, kill somebody. Or
I thought like the
something.
kid maybe had the sight. I felt like the kid knew stuff that. Like, I feel like the kid, the reason why he was always around the older woman is that maybe he had insight or something. I don't know.
Well, it could have been fucking anything. It could be, I don't know. But he should be like a vicious, psychopathic, crazy kid.
But he
should be knifing dancers.
Right. The other thing I want to talk about is Jessica-Harper.
Right.
Who is an interesting person. And I was trying to think the whole time through the movie, because, okay, so I know Jessica-Harper from many different things. Mainly Shock Treatment, the sequel to Rocky Horror.
Right.
She's in Love and Death by Woody Allen. She's also in Stardust Memories by Woody Allen.
Right.
She's in this, and she's in Phantom of the Paradise, or whatever that movie is. I forget what it's called, but I think it's called Phantom of the Paradise. So she's in a bunch of, like, weirder movies. She never really did like a general movie, like all the
big hit.
all the big iconic movies. Because even Stardust Memories is one of Woody's like weird ones. Yeah, it's the one with like all the grotesque faces and black and white and dream sequences and mad shit. Like she's in a lot of weird ones. And what's interesting is that she's not a good actress, and I don't mean that in that she's got something, but she's not a good actress. She has. What's interesting about her is that when you watch her, you go, is she vacant, or does she have a weird charisma about her? And it seems to like flip-flop throughout the thing. Like she has a really weird timing about her. She seems to be like one beat behind everything else that's kind of going on. And so for the weird films that she's in, it sort of works.
Yeah, I think.
And it sort of has a strange magneticism to it. But also, she's not one of those actors where you can see anything going on behind the eyes. Nothing is going on behind her eyes. You don't believe that she's thinking or that she's emoting or anything. She's just there, but there in a sort of slightly surreal, magnetic way. And it's kind of an odd... it's like an odd...
talent?
I don't know that she's doing it intentionally.
No, but sometimes,
it's an odd screen presence, is what I mean. She has an odd screen presence.
I can see that. I mean, I would probably... I think the problem she's got now... I remember her being pretty good in Love and Death and Stardust Memories, but my memory's a little foggy on both. Especially Stardust Memories. And Love and Death doesn't really have much of a character. But in this one, like... How are you supposed to act when your character is, okay, you're an American dancer and you turn up at the school, okay, and then weird shit happens, okay, and the end. Like, there's nothing for her to work. It's not like, you come from a poor background and you're struggling to make it. There's something about an art, or I don't know, but like, there's literally nothing to work.
No, my basis of, my analysis of her comes from knowing her in multiple roles.
Okay.
And this isn't the only role in which
in which case I agree with you, because I think that is definitely happening here. However, I sympathise with her because there's nothing, her character has no arc at all.
No, true, but like imagine someone who was a bit more dynamic in the role, even with the bad lines and everything. Like when she was drugged up, you would feel like she was drugged up, not like she was just lying in a bed playing like she's drugged up. And like when she was scared, you would feel that she was scared, not like when I watch Jessica Harper, especially in this movie, I'm like, oh, there's Jessica Harper acting scared. Like I don't watch it and go, there's that character acting scared. And listen, I take every single point you make about the script and about Argento and about everything. 100% she has very little to work with. But like I just feel like another actress would have gone, all right, it's not in the script, so I've got to bring it. And she doesn't really do that. Like the scene where her bunkmate, is talking about the... Yes.
Yeah, we're all done, thanks.
Am I going to do it?
No, we're good, thank you.
Okay. Want to get the check?
Sure. They're talking about the Black Queen who's behind the sheet, that scene. And there's a real close-up. And the one girl is like talking about the Black Queen and the breathing, and the one night I stayed in this place and I heard her breathing and da-da-da-da-da, right? And like Jessica Harper's face is like right next to her. And the one girl is like looking forward and she's like wide-eyed and she's scared and she's like, oh, I'm telling you the story and I've got to whisper, but oh, this is really freaking me out because the Black Queen's right there and And Jessica Harper is like, she doesn't know whether to like look all around and look like scared. She doesn't know whether to look like quizzical. She's just kind of like vacantly rolling her eyes into the middle distance, and it's sort of, all I just mean is she has a very weird screen persona that I can't decide whether it's like really well done or really awful. I can't decide.
I agree with you, right? But I'm wondering whether she's not quite well cast in the sense that there's so much weird shit happening. Assume the pacing is better, right? Her role in the movie is for stuff to happen too.
Right.
That's it, right? And
no, but she's also got to be quizzical. She's got to be like figuring it out. She's got to be the protagonist who, in the end, is going to go in and.
But I feel like unless you've got stakes, even like. I'm not saying about bringing it to the whatever, bringing it to the movie, but she's got nothing to fight for, nobody to fight for. It's not as if like she's got to rescue the guy or like even like save herself necessarily.
Right.
Like if she just goes, well, everybody's been killed and that school's being run by witches, I'm off.
Right.
That would be perfectly fine.
Right.
And she kills the old woman, and the old woman's guilty of killing sort of her friend, but not really a friend. They weren't really friends. That older one just like totally disappears out of the picture. There's just like nothing. It's not just that there's nothing for her to work with, but also there's no reason for her to do anything, like to react, to be afraid. Should she be afraid? Should she not be afraid? Should she be quizzical or not quizzical? Is she kind of drugged? Because there's kind of an implication that she's being drugged. Even though I don't really get why they're drugging her. Like they're feeding her food and drink and they're drugging her, right? That's what they're saying. Except that why? Like they clearly don't do that to all the girls, so why to her? They got something in mind for her? Apparently not, because they just want to kill her.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is it's tough to pick a reaction or make a decision if your feeling is that not only does the guy not care, but that if you make the wrong decision, he's going to care very much. And that if you're just kind of a bit blank and just like walk through it and just let things happen to you, he seems to be happy with that.
Right.
But I'm going to guess that Argento is not the most fun guy to work for. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I'm going to go ahead and guess.
I am basing it on more than this one performance. Now,
I know.
I'm also saying, in those other film roles, Stardust Memories, Love and Death, Shock Treatment, because of the plot of her character in those films, her sort of, she's quite a deep voice for a woman, and she can speak often in almost a monotone, like it's not, there isn't a lot of... Thanks so much. Great, thank you. There's not a lot of emphasis in her voice, and there's not a lot of cadence. It's very kind of monotonous. But in those other films, that sort of works, like for her.
Yeah, the wheat speech in Love and Death.
Right, the wheat speech in Love and Death. Bit in in all of Shock Treatment, because in Shock Treatment she's sort of meant to be becoming a kind of vacuous like starlet. So the fact that she sort of appears to be quite dead inside kind of works, sort of. But listen, I don't dislike her on screen. Like I say, her energy is sort of a weird one, and it does sort of work for the weird movies she ended up being in.
Yeah.
But it's not a. I don't know that it's a talent. I think it's an accident.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of talent like that, a lot of screenplays like that is an accident.
Right.
Like the thing about Jimmy Cagney in Public Enemy was he was originally cast as the best mate, and the best mate was cast as the lead, and then they turned the cameras on, and they suddenly realised that Jimmy Cagney was maybe the most charismatic person that had ever been in front of the camera, even though he was like a short, weird-looking guy.
Yeah.
Who's clearly born to play like thuggish best mates from now on. But then all of a sudden, because he was so charismatic, just on camera, they made him the lead, and he became a star. But like they didn't know that until the camera was running, you know. So there's things about people that are like indefinable until you see what they've done.
Oh no, completely. Like it's definitely a, you know, they call it like star quality for a reason. Like there's sort of that thing, that indefinable thing.
I know what you mean.
That some people have and some people don't, and like some people can coast on not having it because maybe they're like really good looking, or they can do martial arts, or they can, I don't know, look good holding a book in the wind or whatever, I don't know. But like other people,
good holding a book in the wind,
or cooking an omelette, to go with one of your examples.
That's much more sensible.
Like Keanu Reeves has absolutely zero charisma, but doing what he does, he gets away with it.
His shtick.
Because he has a certain star quality to the way he looks, and the way he moves, and the action he can do, and da-da-da-da-da. And we were having a jokey discussion on Twitter, but it came up about different people's sex appeal. It's like sex appeal is not necessarily about your looks. It's not about how your body's put together, or how your hair is, or whatever. Sex, like some people have sex appeal, and actually if you just looked at a picture of them, it wouldn't necessarily be like, oh my god, they're the world's greatest beauty, or the most handsome gentleman, but like, they have sex appeal, and you don't know where that comes from, but it just fucking oozes from them, and you're like, oh wow. And there are other people who have like comedy chops that you look at them and you're like, well, I don't know why they're funny, but it's not like they're like funny looking, but like they're just comedic, whatever it is.
Funny bones.
Right. So, and you know, it's definitely interesting that all the movies we know Jessica Harper from are all weird movies.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's like you wanna, like, I can see Argento wanting to cast a slightly like as their American accidental hero, and she only does one thing in the movie, which I like that she does, that she not just figures out how to kill the witch, but like goes towards her.
Right.
You know, and like she makes a conscious decision. She's not like fighting her off or anything. She makes a conscious decision to walk towards her and like end, you know, whatever the hell's been going on, which I like. I thought that was, you know, that was cool. But yeah, maybe he cast her because he wanted that slightly passive drug.
Right, except that at the beginning of the movie, now I'm being reminded, at the beginning of the movie there's this whole thing about where she lives. They want her to live at the school. Again, it's not explained why.
Yeah.
It's really not explained why they're so fixated on her at all. But they want her to live at the school, and because like her room was being, I don't know, fixed up after the girl was murdered, we don't know. She's sent to live with Olga, but then like that night they fix up the room and they're like, oh, you can come be at the room. And then when she's like, no, I'm going to stay at Olga's, the woman is like, oh, I never knew you were so headstrong. So like, she's meant to be like this headstrong, ball-busting New York chick.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
which would actually make more sense in the end, that she would be someone who would pick up a sharp object and kill someone. Like if she was like a ball-busting New Yorker.
Yeah, and presumably that's why at the end they're saying things like, where that American girl's got to go. If she was like, I don't know, asking questions or poking her nose in, but it's like, she does, but she's doing that like somewhere else, to other people.
Yeah.
You know.
And in a really sort of passive, vacant way.
Yeah, and they kind of go, oh, really? Oh.
I want to make one point, though. It is quite staggering. We've been in here, whatever now, an hour. It's quite staggering that there hasn't even been, not even one, remotely good song. No. Like, they literally have, I don't know what it is, but every single song on this playlist has been, it has been absolutely the worst music. And earlier tonight, I saw a country and western star on the One America Appeal concert, an up-and-coming country and western star, which means no one's actually heard of it yet. Absolutely murder Won't Back Down by Tom Petty. Like, absolutely destroy it.
Warbling? Was there warbling?
Oh, it was awful. There was a lot of lipstick and a lot of warbling, and it was not pleasant, and she couldn't breathe properly, and the whole thing was awful. That was preferable to every song they played here tonight. It's quite staggering. I've heard cats die, and it's more pleasant than all these.
I will say this: the music, the Goblin music, even though, as you say, it was like too much.
That's not their fault. That's the editor's fault.
Right, but it was really good. I really liked it.
It's super good.
I really enjoyed I really loved the way that it looked. I really loved the colours in it, and how it moved. You know, how people moved on screen. That shot of like coming up in the room and ending up behind the light bulb, and the light bulb going out, and then seeing her at the door like through the distortion of the bulb was like a super cool shot.
Yeah.
And it was full of stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, there wasn't really anything, like you're saying, like exactly like you're saying, there isn't anything driving it.
Right.
And, I think what's supposed to be driving is what's going on here then.
Right.
But you can't have like a few weird things and then her call up a character that nobody's ever mentioned before, and for that character to go, oh, it's witches, and you go, thanks very much, and then the end.
Tar Udo for an old man.
And then she goes back there and goes, oh, I just remembered those words that were said in the storm, even though nobody remembers things better as time goes by. It was like a traumatic incident. It's not like, oh my God, I've suddenly recalled, or whatever. It's like, you know, the more I think about it, the more I remember stuff. No, that never happens like that, but okay, whatever. And she finds it, she goes through, and then, I don't know, it's just like, there wasn't anything for her to find or discover. Because we didn't even find out what the hell was going on there. What were they even doing? Other than murdering people who were going, what's going on here? Like, what were the people being murdered for?
Right.
What were they discovering that they needed to be murdered about?
That they were witches.
But they weren't doing anything.
No, but they
were.
Other
than murdering people for finding out they were witches. So what were they doing before?
Well, that's why.
That meant murder was like the logical reaction.
What Udo Kier says is like they're only here to be malevolent.
No, he said something about gathering personal wealth.
Right, but they can only do it through the destruction of others.
Which was weird. It was like, oh yeah, they're like nicking things, but only if it destroys me with the process. You go, okay, fine, but we haven't seen that happen, and that doesn't happen in the movie, so why put the limit? He might as well have gone, they really like banana sandwiches.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So what they're doing is amassing a huge arsenal of banana sandwiches.
Yeah, and they'll be fine, because we've never seen any banana sandwiches,
and they're doing it through the power of dance.
Right. That would make as much sense.
Right.
And there's as much evidence for that as there is anything else.
Yeah, no, so ultimately it's massively style over substance.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone involved in the film really gave a shit about having any substance. I think they're perfectly happy with it all being style.
No, and that's fine. I don't mind. I'm not saying, but what's the meaning? Why make it? Like, I don't care about substance, right?
Right.
What I care about is if you don't have substance, then you've got to have like pace or excitement or whatever. And I'm saying that usually,
right.
Usually,
but I think
excitement. No, wait. What I'm saying is usually excitement and pace
comes from the
and
narrative.
Comes from character and stakes, and they can be like, it can be slim and who gives a shit, and that's fine.
No, yeah.
But you can't just like magic, you know, threat out of thin fucking air.
Right.
You've got to lay the groundwork for stuff, and I don't think he's very good with groundwork.
No.
You know, he's good. Like, I like this place. Let's film here, and then he'll find a way to film that place that place and make it look amazing.
But I will say this though, is I think that to give him his druthers.
Yeah.
I think that he is doing it for artistic reasons and not storytelling reasons. And I mean that in a more definite sense. I don't just mean he goes, oh, that's pretty, film that. I mean that I mean that his filmmaking, which is the case for his detective giallos as well, because a lot of those are full of non sequiturs and whatever. It's not like he's...
Well, honestly, but I find quite a lot of that stuff quite charming.
No, I know. But
you know what I mean?
But what I mean is that overall, he wants people to step back from the movie and watch it like one might go and step back from a painting in a gallery. Like, to him, the fact that it stands together as a whole with the music, the concept, and the colour, that is enough for him, I think. Because I think he is like, well, I'm putting things out there, and I'm open for interpretation, but I'm not really... It's not that he's leaving the narrative vague, I just don't think he's particularly concerned with narrative at all.
So do you think I might have enjoyed it? Do you think I might have enjoyed it more if it had been edited tighter? I like his weird non sequiturs, and I like Udo Kier turning up and just going, yeah, it's witches, and I might have enjoyed it more if there'd been more killing and more excitement and more things happening, but there was too much of nothing happening.
No, but all I'm trying to say by saying that I think he's more concerned with the art is that the argument artists always give is therefore normal parameters of analysis don't apply.
Squares like me aren't going to get Argento.
No, I don't think there's anything to get.
I'm a film square.
No, what I'm saying is...
I'm okay with being a film.
A lot of what you're saying, even taking into account the fact the other Argentos and other giallos and stuff you've seen, that you are coming at it from if only there was just a glimmer of a narrative that I could hang my hat on, and then the rest of it would all kind of fall into place. And I think what I'm trying to say is, I don't think he's concerned with normal filmic analysis in that sense, or even that narrative, whatever. I think he just wants people to stand back from it as a work of art.
Which I'm okay with, but then an hour and a half is too long.
Right, but nobody
stands in front of a painting for an hour and a half. Not that many people actually go around the like a gallery for an hour and a half, where it's just purely looking at paintings for an hour and a half and nothing else.
Right. No, I'm just what I was trying to say is...
No, I get what you're saying.
While I understand that
you're... the reason why I'm...
No, I get it. While I understand that you're coming at it in terms of like the bare minimum of filmmaking. In other words, the bare minimum of filmmaking is that you have a protagonist you can follow and a slither of a reason that shit's going on. Like, that's the barest, tiniest thing of like telling a story on film. And I'm saying that he is looking at filmmaking from an artistic and not a narrative point of view. So whereas Spielberg, for example, tells a story, Spielberg is the guy around the campfire going, here's this protagonist, and he goes from A to B, and as he goes from A to B, these things either trip him up and or reveal something to him, and it's all tied up in a neat little bow. There you go. Argento is the antithesis of that.
Yeah, okay, no, I see that. I see. I mean, I know this sounds weird, but it almost makes me want to watch it again with that, you know, with those groovy spectacles.
But especially this edit, and I wish I'd kind of watched the previous edit, but like especially this edit, the way the music was, the way the shots held, the way the color was, it was the way the camera moves. It was far more deliberately artistic than it is narrative.
Yeah, I suppose maybe like one of the things for me as well is that the ones I've seen at this point, opera and all the rest of it, are like one of the reasons I like them is there's always something bonkers happening.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So because there was something bonkers happening, I was like, well, I don't mind this. I don't mind that like there are no characters and it's all a bit forced and all the rest of it, because there's always something bonkers happening. Whereas this...
That's what I mean. When a set piece happens, he knows how to orchestrate.
Yeah, and I just felt that the reason I didn't enjoy this one so much was because it wasn't all like constant bonkersness, right? And maybe if I'd known that before I went in, if I knew that there was like long, slow periods, nothing really happening, and just enjoy it, and it's more about like creating I mean, see, but even then, right? Then it's about what you're doing is you're trying to create a mood, right? If you're taking an hour and a half and you've got pictures and whatnot, then you're trying to create a mood. If you don't really care about story or character or whatever, and everything is in service in creating a mood, I don't really know what mood this film created. I didn't feel like scared. I didn't feel horrified. I didn't feel...
Well, it's easy. Pink, green, red, orange, blue.
Those
were the moods, mate. And I don't know how you missed that. Because every single shot had, like he must go, when he makes a movie, he must go into the town and the local art supply shop must immediately sell out of like
red paint.
Well, not paint. The what are those like plastic colour sheets?
Oh, gels.
But no, you can also like buy them in art supply stores for like kids.
But I feel like every scene...
But no, he does have gels. Like the cinematographer...
He looked like he'd had every wall painted.
Right.
Like, the day before with like the brightest colours that he could come up.
But also the cinematographer is probably at the end of a week working with Argento, buried under a mound of gels. And Argento is like, come on, wake up, where is my gel? Like, where is my pink colour? And he's like, I've got pink, give me a green and pink at the same time. And he's like, oh, Jesus, like, he's just, he's probably, I don't know.
Colourblind?
Yeah.
Willfully colourblind.
Oh, I was going to ask, because you are, like, colourblind, therefore, like, the same, like, do you get the same thing out of a movie like this that I do? Because, are you seeing the greens as greens and the pinks?
I don't have a problem. Pinks and oranges and reds and blues, I'm fine. Greens, I have a bit of a problem with. So there might have been some of the. There were parts of this that was a bit like, oh, this is a bit unusually dull. Because greens usually look grey to me. Look grey to me. So that might be why there were parts of it that looked kind of like silvery grey. And presumably they were supposed to be green.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah. It's fascinating up to that bit.
Maybe.
Up to that point.
Maybe this is why I didn't enjoy the film as much as I could. Because I was missing a whole mood.
Yeah. You were missing the green mood.
The whole green mood.
Green mood.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Mystery solved. Well, listen, I'll say this, right? I'm not put off Argento, and I'd still like to see Tenebrae, and I'd still like to see Profondo Rosso. And I'll see whatever else comes along. I'll even see that bloody awful one with Adrian Brody in it, because I bet there's bits in it that are interesting. But I was really looking forward to this, and I booked the tickets a long time in advance, and I came out to watch it at midnight, which I never normally do, and I was a bit underwhelmed.
Right. That's fine.
We didn't even talk about the fact that halfway through the movie, somebody shouted help.
Right.
Which we spent 5 minutes debating, was that in the movie or was it not in the movie? Because in any normal movie, you go, well, nobody did anything about it. But in Argento's like, well, that's fine. Just because if it's an Argento movie and somebody says help, and nobody responds to it, nobody ever mentions it again, that could still happen in an Argento movie. But then it turned out, I couldn't let it go, so I had to leave the cinema and find out. Yes, somebody did in fact need help, but nobody in the cinema did anything about it because they all thought it was part of Argento's weird movie.
Yeah.
That's how peculiar his movies are.
Well, also,
people can scream for help halfway through them.
But also, like I pointed out, if help had not been received, we would have heard the calls for help longer than we did. As it is, we heard one call for help. Help was clearly received momentarily after that, and therefore we all just went on with our lives.
You didn't know that, you just hoped.
You actually said to me, maybe he shouted help and then got hit over the head. As if there was some sort of malevolent force in the theatre that was A, making a woman faint, and B, making a man get hit.
I didn't think it happened in the cinema, it happened outside the cinema.
It must have happened in the cinema, otherwise we wouldn't have heard it.
No, it happened, maybe...
in the corridor out the side.
But no, because it sounded like it came down from the bottom left, that's why it was so weird. That's why I thought
No,
it
I
was
heard
outside
it
the
from the,
exit.
no, I heard it from the top left.
Oh, I heard it from the bottom.
I thought it was over by the bathrooms.
If I thought it was over by the bathrooms, I wouldn't have freaked out about it. Because I would have assumed someone would have gone to help, but I thought it was
Someone
down
did go to help because
the
he
front.
stopped shouting help.
I know.
That's normally what happens. You go help, someone comes over and goes,
Listen,
sorry, how can I help?
No, you're dressing this up, and that's nice. But what happened was, somebody yelled for help,
Right.
and you did nothing.
Right.
And anything else
Had he
is
yelled for-
making an excuse for the fact that you did nothing when you heard somebody yell help.
Had he yelled for help 3 times, like, had I
So what you're
sat-
saying is,
No,
if
no,
somebody
no,
yells
no,
for
no,
help
shut up.
once,
Listen.
they should never be helped.
Listen.
We should assume that everything's fine.
We're in a horror movie, right?
Right.
The music's going bang, 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 like right there, right? The lighting is all red. There's women in bed, blah 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 blah, and we hear faintly in the left-hand corner of
pretty
my
loud.
head, I hear help, right? In a movie full of people screaming and running around covered in bugs. What I'm trying to say to you right now is, had we been watching the movie,
It's what you make-
Hey, shut up.
No, this is going to help you. I want you to
And I had
imagine
heard
having this
someone-
conversation with God, as you will when you get to heaven, and He's going to ask you about this. So you better make this good, mate.
I don't believe it.
Because this is not looking good for you.
I don't believe in heaven.
Oh, fair enough.
So anyway, had I heard from somewhere either in the theatre or in the corridor, like, help, help, shit, help, like, had I heard actual distress and multiple helps, then of course we would have gone, oh, it's not part of the film, and gone up and gone out to help. But hearing help once, right, not knowing if it was part of the film or not, and then not hearing help again, and then using logic to dictate that if someone shouts help and then stops shouting help, chances are they've got help, unless they go help and then have a heart attack, like, whatever.
Yeah, that never happens.
Right. So,
Well, look, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is God exists, and the bad news is therefore you're going to hell.
God doesn't exist.
Okay.
And if God, first of all, God doesn't exist. That's what he weirded me.
Okay. So the bad news is God doesn't exist, and the good news is you won't be punished for your.
Okay.
How would one describe your disinterest in the suffering of your fellow man?
I didn't have disinterest.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying this movie. I don't really want to get up and go.
I did not have. No.
I'll tell you what, I'll wait and I'll see if anybody specifically asks for help from me by name. If my name is mentioned, absolutely I will go and help. But unless that happens, I'm just going to watch the movie and assume everything's fine.
I have been in crowded situations where a commotion has broken out because someone requires help.
Right.
And I have gone to that person.
Well, the important thing is that when that happens, those situations are always the same. So whatever happened to you before is always something will happen this time as well. So crack on.
No, so what I'm saying is, when help is required
in the unique help situation. It only occurs in one way. Crack on.
Help situation. If a prolonged period of distress that required help was...
What about a short period of distress followed by unconsciousness?
But that's not what happened.
How do you know?
The woman was...
You were watching a film and you didn't bother to ask.
Neither did 99.9% of the
So that's cool. So 99.9% of the theatre's going to hell. So while you're burning alongside them, you can go, well, at least I'm not on my own.
Do you honestly believe in heaven and hell?
No.
Everything good, guys?
Oh, yeah, sorry, we're fine.
We're all good. We're here now. But, yeah, that's a lot of old bullshit.
No, I don't really believe that. Except for you. I mean, I believe in hell for you. That's what's going to happen.
No, but that's a lot of old
I believe, right, that the nothingness, that is, the black nothingness that is awaiting all of us upon our death will actually be put to one side for you because of this. And they'll actually create hell.
By the way,
just for you.
You're not a better person because 5 minutes later you went, well, I better go and check my conscience. That doesn't make you a better person. It just makes you more...
It makes me a bit better.
No, it doesn't. It makes you...
It makes me a bit
It makes
better.
you a bit nosy, and it makes you...
I wasn't nosy, I was worried.
It makes you a need...
I was worried.
It makes you a need to assuage your own guilt.
Motivation doesn't come into it. Actions are what matters, mate.
Oh, is that what it is?
I was worried because I thought it was down the bottom left. Right? I'm being serious. I thought it was down the bottom left. So I reckon that might be an alley, right? So if I go up and out, I'm going to find out from them where that bottom left exit leads to. And if it leads to an alley, I'm going to go and check that everything's cool in that alley. Because even if 5 minutes have gone by, if some guy has been like mugged and hit over the head, right, and nobody's seen him, then if I call an ambulance even after 5 minutes, then he might be all right. So, but when I went up, there was an ambulance up there already, and there was a guy, and I asked the guy, is this, because I heard somebody call for help, is this what this is? And he said yes. I thought, fine, so I went back. So I'm going to experience the inky blackness of nothing, where my soul will disintegrate and my matter will be reincarnated into other matter.
So wait a minute, you now believe in reincarnation?
No, I'm just saying that my dead body, as it decomposes, will then fuel other things.
Right.
And my molecules will become part of other things. That's fine. Right. But I'm saying for you, that won't happen.
No.
For you, there will be a hell. And it'll be this music.
Oh, fuck.
And it'll be run by, I don't know, Ed Sheeran. And it'll be nothing but remakes of all your favourite films.
Starring Piers Morgan.
No, directed by Piers Morgan.
No, starring Piers Morgan.
I don't think it's anybody more annoying than Piers Morgan.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Trump and Morgan. And Bill O'Reilly.
Oh, God. And Rush Limbaugh. And Keith Olbermann, because even though he's on our side, quote unquote, because I don't really take sides, but even though he's on like the side of right, he's such a self-righteous tit.
He's a blowhard. He's just as bad as all of them. Arrogant blowhards. Assuaging their own self-importance by belittling other people.
Much like your opinion of Argento.
I like Argento.
No, meaning you were being a blowhard, like belittling Argento.
You're trying to get back at me for the thing now, but I wasn't belittling Argento at all.
No, I think if people have just listened to an hour of this podcast, they realise that what you were doing was belittling one of the greatest Italian artists of the 20th century. And
you just described Dario Argento as one of the greatest Italian artists of the 20th century.
Name some other Italian artists of the 20th century.
Pavarotti?
I think I rest my case. And with that, thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much, you heartless, soulless bastard.
There are a lot of people.
You cruel nightmare of a human being.
I can't
whose soul is absent.
I can't clean up everybody's mess. Like I can't fix what. Even Superman, if he actually existed, would be so busy
watching a movie.
No. Would be so busy.
I can see it now. Help, Superman, help!
But no, even Superman, right, if he existed, would be busy morning, noon and night. There are 7 billion people on the planet. 90% of them are in some level of distress.
However, and this is important, he's fictional, and you're not.
But I knew you would go and check, so... Just because you needed to, like, assuage your massive guilt and the fact you didn't do anything when you first heard the word help.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I went, for sure.
Yeah, of course, because you're...
Whereas you flicked the switch from care to don't care internally and didn't worry about it ever again.
No, I used some logic.
How healthy.
I used some logic.
No.
And I used the fact that the cinema was full of staff. And
they were all upstairs and there was 2 of them.
Anyway, it's all good. Let's pay for this and get out of here.
That would be a gorgeous sip of lukewarm room temperature water out of my In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast mug. The In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast mug. Absolutely phenomenal. And I have Lisa and Brad Gullickson, hosts of the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast, to thank for being able to sip out said mug. Lisa, if you don't know, writes for the After Movie Diner website, and we recently did a swag exchange so they can wear a t-shirt with my podcast on it proudly, and I will be able to wear a t-shirt with their podcast on it proudly and also sip out of a wonderful mug. Why don't you go check out the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast? It is awesome. If you like this podcast, then it is so much better than it. So go check out the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast and find them on Twitter and on Facebook and all the good things. It's In the Mouth of Dorkness, the podcast. Check it out. Now, at the beginning of the show, I talked about Dream Reaper, and he told me in an email, I just believed him that he had a funny story about trading cards or some stuff guff. So here it is. Here is the funny story, followed by his version of the Goosebumps theme song. After placing second in a remix competition for Power Science Disciples of the Night, synthwave artist Dream Reaper decided the best use of the prize money was not new equipment or software, but rather to purchase an enormous collection of original 1996 Goosebumps trading cards. After tracking down a seller, failing to negotiate a good price, and impatiently waiting for shipping, Dream Reaper is now in possession of nearly 1,000 cards bearing the classic images of haunted masks, sentient dummies, possessed cameras, and even one of a dad hooked on plant fertilizer. As the artist put it, in today's uncertain economy, there is no safer investment than limited edition children's collectibles manufactured in the mid-1990s. In addition to hoarding these cards, the Phoenix, Arizona-based musician has begun to include them in merchandise orders and gives them away to fans at shows. Locally, he has become known as that fucking Goosebumps guy, a badge he wears proudly. Today, Dream Reaper surprised fans with a special new Halloween release, a remix of the iconic TV show's opening theme. Available as a free download, Goosebumps theme is a modern electro reimagining of the original that reinvigorates the soundtrack for today's dance floor. The artist utilizes his signature retro-influenced synthwave sound to flip this 90s TV favorite into a club-ready electro banger. Featuring huge distorted French electro bass, creepy piano arpeggios, gritty slap bass, and enough sound effects to open your own haunted house, fans of Justice, The Glitch Mob, and all things spooky are sure to enjoy Dream Reaper's fresh take on this classic throwback. And with that, here is Dream Reaper's reimagining of that classic Goosebumps theme. And if you want a version for yourself, please click on the link on the accompanying podcast website. I will put all the links to Dream Reaper's stuff in the description of this podcast on aftermoviediner.com. Check it out there.